As we saw in Summers' article, when most students revise their work, they focus on language rather than argument, and they make only surface level changes, and they picture their teacher as their reader. But these three things are related. All right. Part of the reason they're so worried about language and making just kind of grammar corrections and punctuation corrections is because they're picturing their teacher as their reader. And in that sense, teachers kind of contribute to the issues with student writing by focusing on rules and accuracy in their instruction. A lot of us learn to write in what's called our English class, and English is also kind of focused on the English language, right? Like learning vocabulary, learning grammar rules, mechanics, like, how do we punctuate sentences and things like that. And these classes often include instruction on format. This ends up being kind of very rule focused. And, in that sense, for a lot of students, the essay becomes this kind of display, like, look at how good my grammar and vocabulary is. And it's easy to lose sight of argument in this when you're thinking of your essay as like a checklist. Um, the other way that teachers contribute to this is by not really providing revision strategies, or really just not giving students the chance to trust the process. And this is true even of well-meaning teachers who get it, and like, I mean, here's an example of a prompt for an English class. And if you if you look, you'll see that this teacher has almost certainly used Lamotte's reading in class, because he's telling people to produce shitty drafts or whatever, right? This is a first draft prompt, right? Um, but then also notice that students are expected to have this perfectly formatted in MLA, right, with all these kind of specifications. So that's an example. Is if this thing's shitty, why is it supposed to be formatted? You know, I think teachers can really help students think about what the writing process kind of looks like, and how writing can take shape, and when the right time to worry about MLA and all that stuff is. All right, so here's some takeaways. Old habits die hard. It's a cliche, but it's true in particular when you develop these habits over many years of writing instruction. You have to be willing to kind of free yourself a little bit at the beginning and let things sort themselves out. It's fine to feel lost. It's fine to kind of not know what the main idea is and just start writing and see what happens. And part of that is being able to ignore your inner critic. And if you do picture a reader, try not to imagine it as your teacher sort of staring over your shoulder, judging you. If anything, maybe it's a peer. And maybe that kind of, you can start thinking about a peer after that first draft. Here's the process that we've been talking about in this class, and you've seen it in the Lamotte and Summers readings as well. It's good to just kind of start with like a free write, get ideas out, and once the ideas are down on paper, to think about structure, and then you can get into polish. This is the time to think about whether you're spelling things correctly, or punctuating sentences correctly, or whatever. And it's funny. There's this quote, trusting the process. You see this in sports sometimes, but writers say it even more. And that's because, this is how writers get by. You're gonna struggle at times. And that's okay. As long as you trust the process, things have a way of working out in the end.